Now let's move on to the next session of the day. I would like to invite our Chief Justice of the day, Honorable Mr. Justice Dipak Misra, former Chief Justice of India, for an inaugural address on the topic, Virtual ADR World, the journey of metamorphosing a calamity to an advantage. Over to you, sir.
Mr. Gupta, ladies and gentlemen, and my esteemed brother, Justice Radhakrishnan. In a situation of adversity, one should never resign to fate, but summon his strength. As a representative of the human race, none should accept defeat in natural calamities, because such acceptance of defeat tantamounts to abject surrender and loss of creation of opportunity. Faith in oneself and confidence in one's ability in constant nowness. I emphasize constant nowness makes each individual a captain of the ship of his life and enables him to metamorphose the calamity to an advantage. And that is called character. That is a vow not to be vanquished. I'm reminded of what Molière, a famous French writer, had said. I quote, "The greater the obstacle, the more glory in overcoming it," unquote. The aforesaid has prevailed over the process of thought of the think tank of economic times to conceive a deliberation on ADR in present day, when COVID-19 is regarded as a calamity or disaster. Someone may pose a question: why discuss alternative dispute resolution? The simple answer is, we can discuss because it does relate to our craving for justice and a hidden desire for just adjudication in a cost-effective, semi-formal, and expeditious manner. It is peremptory to note that in the midst of litigations, unless the litigants have built concrete, egocentric mental worlds, there is partly a hidden desire expecting someone friendly, amiable, law-knowing, world-wise, slightly elderly, unbiased, and totally impartial, and comparatively experienced to enter, who can solve the problem in an atmosphere of amity, so that an adversarial contest is avoided. It can be stated with certitude that in the absence of the psychological need, the alternative dispute resolution system is inconceivable. To explicate the psychological need and the mindset are two categorical imperatives. The COVID-19 situation, a calamity, a disaster, an unprecedented atmosphere which the human civilization had never witnessed, wants us to convert our psyche, our mindset. Before I proceed to discuss how best one can conduct the proceedings in these difficult times, I think it apposite to give a brief overview of the idea and its continuous systemic growth. ADR encompasses a range of means to resolve conflicts short of formal litigation. Alternative dispute resolution in India is an attempt to accomplish the constitutional goal of complete justice in India. I'm tempted, and I mean I'm tempted. Justice Warren Burger, the former Chief Justice of the American Supreme Court, had observed very, very lucidly, and I quote, people with legal problems, like people with pain, want relief, and they want it as quickly and expeditiously as possible, unquote. Look at the concern, look at the expression, and look at the lucidity. ADR, as we understand, is an umbrella term for a range of processes and techniques which can be used in order to resolve or settle disputes outside the courts, usually with the assistance of a neutral third party. A seeker of truth may ask a question, albeit philosophically, is death a wall or a door? Or is the universe too mysterious to fathom? Or as Tennyson would say, so runs my dream, but what am I? These are the questions at this juncture we are supposed to put, and we are putting. We, as I would like to propose, keep the philosophical discussion for another day. Today, what matters is the need of the present, that is, the desire of the human race and the understanding the signs of humanity in the world, a small globe of ours that has become smaller by technology and beautifully traveled beyond the physical boundaries. One may individually have a spiritual self and seek for unmanifested world. He may put questions like T.S. Eliot, who has said, where is the life we have lost in living? Where is the wisdom we have lost in knowledge? Where is the knowledge we have lost in information? But today, in contradistinction to this, we have to be powerful in information, re-establish our techno-knowledge, and I'm not touching the wisdom facet except saying the purpose and the intent to be more bold. But when we are coming to the collective, I say we are obliged to concentrate on life and measure in quality with the parameter of growth, progress, and advancement, and certainly of change. You can't remain in a state of constancy. You have to move, and movement is life. Movement is progress. Movement is transformation, and movement is conversion. It's a well-known fact that rule of law as well as access to justice are very important to order, maintain stability, and also develop the affairs of the state. Justice is a common thread running through with the intrinsic nexus with dispute resolution. The primary goal of any dispute resolution mechanism is justice. However, the terms cannot be used interchangeably. It must be kept in mind that a balance between fundamentally 5 factors are to be achieved. They are: 1, depth of procedure; second, expenses; third, time taken or speed or avoiding delays; 4, accuracy that has to be achieved or to be arrived at; And lastly, individual placement of each party. The touchstone of providing access to justice through ADR rests on creating incentives to encourage people to resolve disputes at the most appropriate level, providing fair and accessible justice to all, delivering outcomes in the most efficient way possible. Nothing that the greatest efficiency can often be achieved without resorting to a formal dispute resolution process, including preventing disputes. You can prevent disputes and you can resolve disputes. And that is why the Legal Services Authorities Act talks about pre-lok adalat system. And that is why the mediation principles concepts of community mediation or institutional mediation before going to court. There is a need, I must emphasize, to have all doors open for access to justice. That is the constitutional command. And further, it is one of the primary and fundamental facets of human right. India has witnessed a rapid increase in the number of commercial disputes and clear preference of parties towards arbitration over traditional court litigation for resolution. India has undertaken major reforms in its arbitration law in recent years. It will not be an exaggeration if I say today India has the potential to become the focal point or nerve center of arbitration, and steps taken are bound to inculcate faith in the global commercial world, consumption of by less time and cost-effective aspects which constitute the backbone of such resolution. Presently, let's come to the nationwide lockdown. It has prompted the Supreme Court and the High Courts of the country to hear urgent matters through video conferencing. For the said purpose, requisite infrastructures has been established or being established for the assistance of the lawyers. The Supreme Court has also, in exercise of the power under Article 142 of the Constitution, has issued a fresh standard operating procedure, and one of the procedures covers recording of evidence in arbitral proceedings. It's less on obtainment of consent. Internet connectivity in major Indian cities is praiseworthy, but it's not that efficient in smaller cities or towns which lack basic infrastructure. Since access to justice must be provided to all without any distinction of region or social strata, up-to-date and modern infrastructure has to be established. So, the first and primary concern of the virtual world, virtual hearing to establishment of infrastructure at most or almost all the places of the country where people are keen to see that the litigations come to an end, the disputes come to an end. And if they are interested in arbitration or mediation or conciliation, they can take recourse to it. We are being completely tested by the current pandemic. ADR mechanisms are presently not an option in contrast to formal court adjudication. But it's the most practical procedure. I'm not saying, and I must clarify, it's not a substitute, but it's a good option for resolving the disputes between the contesting parties in a speedy and timely manner. If the parties do not take recourse to ADR mechanisms, a huge number of contractual disputes initiated due to COVID-19 would pile up before the Indian courts, causing delay in providing relief to the aggrieved parties. The corporate bodies have to adapt themselves to ADR mechanisms as taking recourse to mediation or arbitration for resolution of the disputes, which would be private and confidential. Privacy and confidentiality have to be maintained, and as I know they are being maintained. Cybersecurity is a concern, and that also has to be taken care of. With the use of technology, the litigants have to take recourse to online dispute resolution or ODR mechanisms, which are a combination of modern technology and ADR principles. Its use was limited to a handful of disputes, many relating to online transaction, but the spectrum has to go and there has to be a quantum leap. We have to have a quantum factor concern, and with committed patience, we cannot lose patience because we are taking recourse to virtual hearing. We can deal with the applications under Section 16, Section 17, and cross-examinations. Definitely, with the consent of parties, we can proceed with the evidence and hearing and arrive at our decisions. And that is the solution in the present obtaining system. I must tell you, the other institutional arbitration centers in London, in Singapore, have issued the guidelines. I'm not going in detail, but really lay down the procedure so that one can go step by step. The Arbitration and Conciliation Act of 1996 provides mediation during arbitration, and that's a useful mode of effecting a resolution of dispute. Now, all of us who are arbitrating as arbitrators must try to take recourse to that, and that is, as I feel, is one of the effective modes at this disaster or calamity time. Now, this is an unprecedented situation, but one has to acquaint oneself with psychography. When I say psychography, I try to convey that you must understand the psychology of the litigants, and simultaneously you must understand the geographical position they assume or they come from. That kind of psychological study by the arbitrators and acceptance by the litigants combinedly will bring a great solution to this kind of alternative dispute resolution in a situation of catastrophe, a pandemic, a cataclysm, a calamity. I think I'm within my time. The conceptual remote hearing has to stay not as a substitute, but as a great conceivable option. We can go ahead. I'm absolutely indubitable that ADR, be it arbitration or mediation or lok adalat or conciliation, is a method of serving the cause of justice. It may be a challenge, but one does not have to put a Hamletian question, to be or not to be. That's not the question to put today, or not like in our culture, put a question or situation, na yajau, na tastau. No, you have to march ahead. You have to go ahead. All of us have to metamorphose our mindset, and that is dexterity, that is transformation. Lastly, I must congratulate Economic Times to have thought about it, and I wish absolute success to this innovative conclave. Thank you. Thank you very much.